For all the people that just spoke and for Jess, I just want to thank everybody that took the time and energy. And I know it's not easy, and I know it's very nerve-wracking, and it can produce anxiety. So real quick, can we say thank you? Say thank you. Say thank you. So I'm a little bit informed on what's going on here. And it's enough to know that my time working in schools and also being a person of color in Minneapolis public schools, not too far from here, is not far from the experience that some of the people spoke about while they were up here. And the thing I want to add is that we know the numbers on ProPublica. We know the racial disparity. We get it. We understand there's overt racism happening here in this building. And the main thing that I want to drive home is that if David Law was doing his job, we wouldn't be here. If your superintendent was doing their job, we wouldn't be here. If your superintendent was doing their job, teachers wouldn't be afraid to say something. It's a little bit backwards that your teachers are afraid to stand up for Black lives, but they're also afraid of your superintendent. They're not afraid to express their overt racism. They're not afraid to express their complicity with white supremacy. And they're not afraid to stand up for people that provide verbal abuse to bodies of color, such as Ben, such as Annette Ziegler, such as a lot of white males that you've probably known and seen in this building that feel perfectly fine with saying racist things. And the reason why they feel okay with saying racist things is because your city has made them feel comfortable to say it. They are protecting young white men who say blasphemous, racist things. And today, it's got to stop. There was a press conference today or yesterday where a reporter tried to get Mike Pence to say Black Lives Matter. And all Mike Pence could do was just throw out word salad and skirt the issue. Somebody else can't say Black Lives Matter either, and that's the principal of Coon Rapids High School. It is not a political effort. It is not a politicized gesture to say Black Lives Matter. It is not a political thing. And that shouldn't even have to be something that we have to express right now. This is basic level sociology, racial disparity, white supremacy. Look at your leaders. This is basic. This isn't even advanced. This is sloppy on their end. They're not even smart in the realms of white supremacy. This is obvious. This is a bad PR statement for them if you're just looking at it from the outside. If Annette Ziegler can't say Black Lives Matter, then she has to go. She has to resign. And here's the good news for Annette. She'll probably find some job somewhere else full of nepotism through her white connections or some type of corporate hullabaloo that she can find a job elsewhere. But she doesn't need to be providing a dangerous space for Black bodies in this building. I've heard about David Law, and I know these types of men. I get it. You have an ego. You're a yes man. People have told you yes a lot of times. Nobody says no to you. Nobody says no to David Law. Everybody's afraid of David Law. But you're here because you're not afraid of him. You're here because you're going to hold him accountable. You're here because you're done with his bullshit. The word that we use a lot, and I had to lose a job, walk away from a job, because my employers couldn't use this word. This word is accountability. It's accountability. And if you can't be accountable, then what does that say about your job right now? And moving forward, you have to ask yourself, what have you been doing that has not had any accountability attached to it? We're talking about right now, there is a gap between white students and Black students, indigenous students, and just basic students of color. This is some of the nation's leading racial disparity in education in this state. And this building is doing everything in its breathing life to protect that disparity. Today, we have a Facebook group going up that people can join and be informed. It starts there. But today, there's a lot of white faces here, and I want to talk to you directly. I want to say this is not just a conversation you're going to bring up after this rally. This is not just an idea or a photo op that you're going to use after this rally. You need to make this your walking, living, breathing life after this rally. This is a dangerous space for people of color. This is very dangerous. And it's not just because it absolves and comforts the Ben and the young white men that feel that they can say overtly racist things, that feel that they can throw out a poll that says something about slavery and neo-Nazism. This is not just dangerous because it makes those white men feel comfortable. This is dangerous because it makes black people apologize for who they are or having any sense of pride or self-worth. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm speaking to the few people of color here, and anybody who's a person of color watching this, you are absolutely worth it. Your white teachers do not tell your story. Your white principals do not assess your self-value. White people in your neighborhood do not tell you who you are. You say who you are. You do not need their permission to feel. You do not need their permission to tell your story. And as we saw with Cornelius Frederick, a young black man who expressed some rage, had some violent outbursts, what do they do to those young black men? They take them and they put them in out-of-home placement programs. And then they send them across the country. And then they sit in a care facility that's essentially a prison. And then when he throws a sandwich at one of his white staffers, he gets choked out. Sat on his chest for 9 minutes. Sat on his chest for 9 minutes. If they're gonna do that to a young black man, can you imagine that would ever happen to somebody like Ben? Can you imagine that would ever happen to somebody like some of the young white men that you see spew out overtly racist and neo-Nazi messages? They're trying to control your feelings. And when they can't do that, they want to control your language. And when they can't do that, they want to control your body. And when they can't do that, they want to control your life. They revoked Cornelius's permission to live. And this hits home because I worked with those kids. And it's a dangerous space because when white folks can't handle it, they send them off to Utah. They send them off to Kalamazoo, Michigan. They send them off up north or somewhere where Hennepin County doesn't have to deal with it. This is happening right now. This is happening in your city. And there is no accountability being held to white people. They sit there and they make you apologize for saying that your life matters. Today, I call bullshit. Today, no more. And it starts with the resignation of Annette Ziegler. We've seen her track record. We've seen what she's doing now. We've seen what she's done then. She has to go. It's over. The conversation's done. Annette's got to go. It's done. And if David Law wants to keep his job and if he knows what's good for him, he can start coming to the table to have a conversation. Because to me, that type of white guy, David Law, that's a dude that's never had the conversation. And he needs to ask himself, is he not having the conversation because he doesn't want to or because he hasn't had to? Because nobody's held him accountable and now people are going to. It's not enough to just walk away from this building. It's not enough. You could take your kids, you could go to some other school. But I'm gonna tell you right now, as they saw in Milwaukee, they tried to bust kids out of the hood and put them in Mequon and rich white suburbs. And guess what it did? The city infrastructure crumbled. It died on the inside. You have to stay here and you have to stand for your city. You have to stand for yourself and you have to heal it from the inside. So it's not enough today to have this rally. It's not enough today to have the Facebook group. You have to keep the work moving forward. And I'm gonna say this right now to every kid of color that has experienced dangerous language, being devalued publicly in front of your classmates. You're supposed to go to school to learn, not go to school to be stripped of your self-worth, to be stripped of your story, to be told that your people started at slavery, to be told that your black skin needs to be apologized for. I know, I get it. I've been in those situations, and I've had to code switch for white friends. I've had to apologize for myself. I've had to make white people feel comfortable just because they felt tense about conversations about race. I'm here to tell you, it's not your responsibility to take care of white comfort. It's not your responsibility. It is the job of a white community to sit down with themselves and confront their own racism, to confront their own tacit complicity with white supremacy, to confront their own feelings, thoughts, and disparity within themselves. It's not your job. Yes, it is your job to stand up for yourself. You should not have to apologize for yourself, but know that it is not your burden to have to rearrange or create an environment where white people feel comfortable. And if you're a white person and you feel uncomfortable right now, as I've said it before and many other times, good. Lean into it. Lean into it. Because you're gonna feel uncomfortable now, but guess what? You're not gonna get killed for it. Nobody's gonna sit on your chest for 9 minutes. Nobody's gonna kneel on your neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Nobody's gonna ask you to apologize for it. Nobody's gonna send you to suspension rooms for it. Nobody's gonna send you to detention for it. And I've sat there in that same principal's office looking out the window at all the white kids passing that do the same stuff as me and wonder why their behavior isn't punished the same as mine. It's because you're in a school that is enforcing white supremacy on your body and saying that your existence alone is a threat to their white supremacy. I need you to know that you are the most beautiful, strong, outrageously awesome, amazing people. Your brown skin is amazing, and you must walk with that and celebrate it every damn day. I know that Jess is gonna get a rally going, but I wanna wrap on this, and I just wanna say that as you're out here, again, don't make this a day. Don't make this a moment. Don't make this just a rally. This is the beginning of your efforts. This is the beginning of your journey towards finding out who you're really going to be in this effort. You need to figure out where you're going to stand in this space, how you're going to support black females, how you're going to support black trans lives, how you're going to support your fellow neighbor, how you're going to hold somebody accountable, how you're going to speak up when somebody says something really foul, how you're going to stand up to another bank and say, hey, that's not okay. And guess what? You don't need the school to step in to hold them accountable. This is on all of us. We got to keep this going. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to give it back to Jess.